Welcome, film fans and viewers. My name is J.R. Andrus with Golden Works Entertainment, and this is the Film Spotlight Podcast, where we talk about movies with people who make them and act in them. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Film Spotlight Podcast. This week is a little bit different because instead of just having one person on, we brought in a full team here. I've got with us Spanky Ward, the writer and director of The Genesis Project, which will be premiering at the Zions Indie Film Festival, correct?
Correct. That would be on February 26th, 8:30 p.m. at the Sarah Theater Center in Orem, Utah.
Excellent. Hopefully you guys will like what you hear here and come and see it. If not, just don't bother to tell us. That's all right. We don't need to know. Spanky, why don't you tell us a little bit about the project and who we have with us here today?
Well, so first I'll tell you who we have here, and then I'll kind of go into the genesis of the Genesis Project. So we've got Ryan Hennessy, plays one of our leads, David, here, and we've got Jeff, who is an integral part in the story. Jeff
Hello.
Got Halo Medina, plays Grover in the movie. He's the bit of the comedic relief as well as the heart of the film, I think.
Heyo.
And yeah, just a bunch of great guys. So the Genesis Project is 23 years in the making, give or take.
Wow. 23 years. That's a long time to be working on a project.
I started to write this in, I think, around the last year of college in 2000. And I did all this research. I studied serial killers for like 3 months. I actually went and met with a real FBI profiler at the time, he was the police chief in Orem, if I remember right. I can't remember his name offhand, but I went actually and interviewed him. He was friends with John Douglas, who is like one of the first kind of founders of FBI profiling. It was fascinating, and I took actually, the funny thing is I had all the ideas and everything figured out. I had the ending. I always figure out my endings. Excuse me. I'm the type of writer who I have to have the ending. I have to have the destination I'm heading to. On the drive from Ogden, where I lived at the time, going to school, to Provo, I came up with I just had this idea of a completely different ending. And due to that, it changed the dynamic of the entire story for so much better. It was amazing. So had I not made that interview and did that drive, perhaps I never would have got the new ending, which is what it is now, which is amazing, I think, anyway. And so I wrote it in college, and at the time I was working just shortly after graduating, I was working on a television show called Cover Me, working in the office as a production assistant in the office. And I had a friend, my friend Josh Ashdown, worked for Touched by an Angel, an established TV show here in Salt Lake. He worked in the office there, and we were both kind of in the film stuff at the time. He made a bunch of copies of the script and put it in everybody's box, which is kind of different. You don't usually do that. But the locations manager, his name Marshall Moore, at the time for Touched by an Angel, got a hold of it and was reading it when the director for that current episode came in. And that director was Frank Johnson. And he asked Marshall, he's like, "Hey, what are you reading?" He says, "Oh, it's this great script. I love it. It's called The Genesis Project. I love it." And he's like, "Oh, I'm actually looking for a script to kind of go theatrical. Can I read it?" And he's like, "Sure, yeah." So he got him a copy, and Frank read it and contacted me, and we met and talked, and that was my first script sale. And I think Genesis was only the third script that I had written at the time. I'm self-taught, and for good or bad. And so, but there's a couple things. So that would have been my first film. It was amazing. First of all, I'm new, freshly graduated, third script, and I sold it for, I thought, at the time, a pretty decent amount of money. Not only that, but it was going to be made. He actually got the funding together. We had production offices in Salt Lake. He had, people signed on. Katherine Heigl was signed on. John Savage, Ernie Hudson, Henry Winkler, which I'm like, cool. I know those people. I've heard of these people. I used to watch Happy Days with,
Yeah, those are some great names.
And Katherine Heigl, of course, ended up blowing up with Grey's Anatomy and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden we're in, and this is, I wouldn't say typical, but it's not unheard of. We're in production. Everything's going great. We're 2 weeks away from principal photography, meaning we start shooting the film in 2 weeks. And I'm in my office doing rewrites one day, and the door opens. Someone comes in and says, basically, pack it up. The funding fell through, and just it went away. And my poor heart just was like, and took a while to recover from that.
I can't even imagine.
It was tough. I mean, especially being so new and making a sale after knowing, and hearing stories of how difficult the business is, and to actually be in the process of making, somebody making a movie that I wrote with actors that I've heard of. I mean, I was in heaven, and then all of a sudden it was just gone. And it was
I can't
terrible.
even imagine.
Thankfully.
You talk about meeting with, sorry, go ahead and finish.
No. Thankfully, as you say, Frank, the producer who bought it, Frank Johnson, he never gave up. And all of a sudden, a few years ago, he calls me up and says, hey, what could you make Genesis for? And I gave him a number. He's like, all right, I'll go get the money. I'm like, cool. Next thing I know, we're making a proof of concept teaser sizzle reel thing. And we put that together. And then he took that and went, and next thing you know, he's got the funding, and we shot the film this time, literally, I think in February of last year. And we are literally turning the film over to the distributor today. So full circle.
Awesome. And aren't you so glad that you have Halem instead of Katherine Heigl? I just assume that's the character part he's playing.
It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up, But, the good thing is, I mean, it would have been great to have it made back then, and who knows what ripple effect that would have had. But on the other hand, I got to direct it now instead of some, not Frank would have did a great job, but it's cool that I got to finally direct it. The first script that I sold, I got to make, and it turned out so dang good. I'm so excited for everybody to see it I'd see it on the big screen too at the festival premiere. I mean, it's gonna be the screen.
There's
the theater
definitely
we're in,
something's on the big screen.
Especially the Clark Grand Theater. It's a 40 by 20 foot screen. There's 733 seats. It's a huge, massive theater. And to have it play on that size of a screen is going to be amazing. It's so fun. I'm excited. Coming up on the 20th, and I'm stoked.
It'll be great. I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen the movie either, obviously.
I haven't seen it either
yet. Well, that's kind of how it works. There's a movie I'm working on that I haven't seen yet because I haven't finished the audio on it. However, for our audience, you're talking about meeting with FBI profilers and things like this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the movie is about for those that don't know?
So the Genesis Project is about 5 college students. They're psychology students, and they're supposed to come up with an idea for their big term project. And they eventually get the idea to study. There's a serial killer loose in their town. And so they get the idea of like, well, what if we study serial killers to see what turns a normal human being into a cold-blooded murderer? Like, where do serial killers come from, basically? And that's the premise. They do all this studying, and especially the character David, played by Ryan, he's the brainiac of the group, and he does all this studying. He knows about serial killers. He learns about FBI profiling techniques, and they eventually get the idea like, hey, what if we try catching this guy, and we could save his latest victim? And Halem's all like, yeah, we can become famous and get all these accolades and stuff. And of course, they give it a shot, and they're actually successful in capturing this person, this killer, and take him up to the woods, this cabin in the woods, to kind of exact revenge, and as well as find out the location of his latest victim. And things don't go quite as well as they planned. We'll leave it at that.
Excellent. Sounds exciting. I'm just really hoping for some sort of action fight sequence between Halem and Jeff. I don't really know why, but for some reason that just sounds awesome.
It happens on the roof of a train.
We probably won't get it, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
It's
on the roof of a train. Oh, so This is a Mission Impossible movie.
Totally, absolutely.
exactly.
I have no chance. I have no chance against him.
David's hanging from an airplane, and Jeff's flying the airplane while David's hanging from it, and that's that's the
Awesome.
sequel. That's
those are fun
Genesis
movies.
Project Part 2. That's
the sequel.
Yeah.
So if I remember right, I didn't get to throw any punches at Halem, but Halem got to throw some punches at me.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
Well,
More than one.
They
Are you
look
allowed
real.
to have Halem in a movie and not have him throw punches at nearly everybody? Though?
I think it's in his
that was against
it's
the
in his
rules. Isn't it in your
contract that he gets to
Halem?
hit somebody in every film he's in. So
No, actually, the the last episode we did with Elijah, we talked a little bit about how Halem and I met, which was him doing a stunt for us where he ended up pulling the wire so hard that our stunt actor hit the wire on like this 18-foot high wire pull. So that's just how I always think of Halem now. But yeah, so that's how I met Halem, and so now every time I think of Halem, I'm just thinking of these giant stunts and this massive wire pull.
Halem,
But
I do have to say, Halem did do his own stunts.
So apparently apparently you had no chance to begin with, Jeff. So I'm not surprised you didn't throw a punch.
No way. No, we're all.
But yeah, so
I was crying.
so Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with the project? Was this your first time in a feature?
This was actually my first feature film. Had done a bunch of shorts over the past few years, but it was actually a friend of mine who is from Utah had an audition for one of the parts in this and told me, "Hey, what if you just email the director? They got a lot of parts. Who knows?" And so I was like, sure. I mean, if you say it's okay.
Yeah, let me tell you the story on this first. Yeah, it was so they had a great casting director, Jeff Johnson. He's like, Utah was like, the best, and he, him and his casting partner, but I'm used to casting my stuff myself, so. And we were a little short on time as well. It's not like I didn't trust him, but like I'm like, oh, I couldn't just sit still and not do anything. So I started to put the word out. Jeff gave me some good other places to look as well. But all of a sudden I get this email from out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Hey, I heard you guys are making a movie.
Because the email, so I put the word out, but the email I used for the ones that I sent out was not that email. It was a different one. And all of a sudden there's this random email from this dude, which there's a theme here that I'll come to here in a bit when I talk about Krista, who played Tiffany. So I get this email, and like he's saying, I see this guy in a trunk, and
that was my opening clip in my reel.
Like I hear, so no offense to whoever made the clip, but I'm hearing the winds blowing. There's like, I think a dump truck went through the scene at one point. A dog attacked some lady going.
Made it real.
The audio, the production value was, needless to say, it was wanting. But my gosh, the performance, and it wasn't a serious performance either, but at the same time, his performance in that trunk, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the dude. I didn't tell him that. I'm like, I've got to see this guy read. And that was the first, but like, I mean, his performance just bypassed all of the bad production value. Seriously. And
like
I'm like,
film,
holy cow.
Film,
but anyway, so go ahead. Go ahead. I just want to tell you how I discovered it.
I appreciate that. Because yes. Go ahead.
I can relate to that, Spanky. We made a movie at the same time. You guys were filming Genesis Project called The Dead of Night, which we are currently in post on. You'll start hearing about that a lot from me here in the short term, because we're getting ready to release as well. But one of the characters we have in there is a guy named Joseph Holt. That's the actor's name. And he plays this priest who ends up being possessed by a demon at one point. And we knew we wanted Joe, but we still, like always, we're like, yeah, so send us your reel. He hasn't updated his reel in a little while. He's busy with a lot of stuff. And so he sends me this reel that is all comedic. And I'm like, we're casting for a
possessed
role
priest
here. Okay. And all of this stuff is basically the same type of thing. Student productions, low quality. I mean, I think there was a piece in there that was like Batman fan fiction or something, or parody. I think it was a parody. But it's all comedy, and I'm just watching it going, yeah, I can't say much about any of this except he's really good. And for some reason, I now believe that he can do a dramatic role, even though everything I've just seen is comedy and not really that well filmed. So I fully relate. And then he came in, and I keep joking. He also happens to be the husband of our lead actress, and he stole the show. And I keep telling her, sorry, you're just toast. Your husband stole the show. She's like, yeah, he does that.
So when they eventually get
it.
divorced,
But
we'll
anyway.
know who to blame.
Yeah.
Definitely me, for sure. Yeah, not for any of the reasons that people would think, but I'm sure it will be my fault somehow.
But now, yeah, it was great. I passed his info over to Jeff Johnson's crew, and and the rest is history. He read. There was one specific piece that was the most important one, because I knew if he could do this, then he could do anything else I would need. So there's this one specific thing that you just had to get right. There's the same thing with all the others. I picked the most difficult thing, and as long as I knew they could do that, then I was good with everything else, because everything else is downhill. Poor Jeff's. We'll talk to Jeff here in a minute. But yeah, once I saw him do this part, and I saw a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people read for this, which made me feel good. But man, I saw Ryan do this piece. I'm like, that's it. That's him. So it was great.
Well, congratulations, Ryan. We now have no idea why you
Appreciate it.
got the role, but hey, you've got it.
I
You're in
mean-
the movie. So
my reel
how
now
was it
starts
actually
with-
being in the film?
It was super fun. I was going to tell Spank, my reel now starts with a clip from this film. But
So we'll know why you get other jobs now. at least.
exactly. But
No, I keep telling them. I tell all of them that, because I've been editing this thing for like a year now, and every time I go through their stuff, I'm like, my gosh, if these guys don't get more work after this, then casting agents are just stupid. Because there's this one part where I keep calling it his Marlon Brando, his on the waterfront kind of moment. I could have been a contender, only it's more intense, But I mean, yeah, all these guys just do so blown away every time, and just feel so lucky to have these guys on board. It's always amazing when you finish a film and you're able to sit back and really look at the totality of the event, and you realize, my gosh, what would have happened if we wouldn't have got him or her, or I couldn't imagine not having any of these guys. It just seems like it wouldn't have come together if I was missing one of these guys. It just, couldn't imagine being without them. And they just did such amazing jobs. So kudos to you guys.
thanks,
Excellent.
Spanky.
All right, we keep cutting you off, Ryan, but let's come back. Tell us about your favorite thing that happened while filming this movie.
I think my favorite thing was I'd never had Hawaiian barbecue before, and Halen was like, "Are you kidding me?" We had that on set one day.
Wait a minute. You admitted to Halem that you've never had Hawaiian barbecue. and
Yeah,
you
he
can
was
still
pissed. Yeah, no, and it was on a day where we were filming this scene and we were all starving, and the entire scene we're looking at a pizza and we're not allowed to eat it. Like, it was right before lunch, and then lunch that day was Hawaiian barbecue, and now, I don't have anything more authentic than Ono, but I go there quite a bit over here. And I was gonna tell you
Nice.
earlier in regard to like getting this. I think I got the script for this project on a Wednesday in California, and we were shooting on Monday, and I had to figure out how to get I had a friend from Utah who put me up with some of her friends, thank God, and I just drove up to Utah, tried to read the script as fast as I could, find the character, and do the acting part, and then I was like on set first day, like, what do we do?
Let me throw in a little bit of information. I love my dialogue. My poor actor, Jeff knows what I'm talking. Jeff was the lead in my last movie. Jeff knows I love my dialogue. My characters have so much to say, so the actors have so much to memorize. And both these guys, like in both movies, I mean, Jeff knocked it out of the park there. He doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue in this one, more action, but yeah, poor David's got. I mean, his character, the David character has like the majority of
He's
things
got a
to
lot
say.
of just long sort of he kind of takes this professorial role where I'm going to teach you everything there is about serial killers. So I went home every night and tried to look at what pages we were doing the next day. I was like, all right, today was a rough one. We had a lot to say. Maybe it lightens up. It's someone else. Oh, 3 pages. Just okay. Well, I'm not sleeping. We'll just buckle up and get in for the next day. And I feel like that just kept happening. But
not exaggerating, like serious. Yeah.
But it was a great challenge, and you don't know what you can do until you're kind of forced to. So I'm glad I know I can do that.
If you can do one of my films, you can do any film. You're good. You're set. Yeah. You don't have to worry about dialogue and all that stuff.
Excellent. Well, I think this is a good segue to let Jeff say a few things. I feel like we need a stall on Halem so I can make a few crack-wise jokes at his expense before we let him defend himself. But so Jeff, you and I have worked together before years ago. We did what was it? I think they called it a 319 project together way back when, and then we did a little short web series thing that I don't think ever saw the light of day. But apparently, you also did Spanky's last movie, and for the audience, that was Princess for a Day, correct?
Yeah,
with
Princess
Monica
for a Day.
Moore Smith. Is that right?
Yep.
Well,
Rosie Darling's debut.
Contrast the two? Yeah, I hear she stole the show. So
100%.
There's that. So even though you were only a minor side character in that movie, why don't you contrast the two movies for us? You did 2 movies for Spanky, and it sounds like they were 2 very different roles. How was that?
That was the best part. So I was coming to town for the premiere at the Zion's Indie Film Festival for Princess for a Day while they were filming the Genesis Project, and Spanky was like, "There's this role, like it felt like he was trying to warn me every possible way, like how terrible of an experience this would be and how different it would be from Princess for a Day. Because Princess for a Day, I was like a rich widowed billionaire with a British accent, like it was like so cush. And then for this one, he kept saying things like, so it's kind of rough and you get beat up a lot. And there's like, you're basically getting tortured throughout the movie and all these people are going to punch you and you're going to be bloody and you're going to be cold. And what he didn't realize was that whole, like, everything he was saying, I was like, yes, give it to me. Because I love stunts. I've done a ton of stunts on stage. I've been a fight captain for stage productions, but I very rarely get to do any kind of action stunt stuff in film. And I mean, I was in a boxing movie that was like a cage fighting movie, and I didn't get to fight because I was playing Jesus. Like, I've gotten like so close to these
almost there.
But I
cage fighting Jesus would have been interesting,
right? Why not? I mean, he's got powers too. So I like everything he was telling me. I could tell that he was trying to warn me so that I wouldn't get into something that I didn't know about. But I was just totally stoked on it. There's one particular stunt that he like was really worried about, and day of was kind of gnarly. So Corbett was our stunt coordinator. Is that his official title? Stunt coordinator, stunt person?
Yeah, coordinator and choreographer. Fight choreographer. He's got a whole team and stuff.
Stunt magician.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And he's an absolute rock star. I love working with stunt. Again, I've worked around stunt people, but very rarely got to like do anything. Shout out to Rich Chavez as well. Like, I just love our Utah stunt people. They're amazing. This is my first time working with Corbett, like one-on-one. We both had worked on the Book of Mormon stuff, but I didn't really work with him on that project. And so I was getting to know him, and essentially like we did a stunt with water where like, can I tell what the stunt is? Spanky, does that give stuff away?
I would just say water torture, because it's very, very different than anything that anyone's ever seen.
So I won't describe too much.
Yeah, don't describe.
But essentially, it's a water torture stunt where like, we had to show that I can't breathe because there's water covering my nose and my mouth, right? Like that's the basic idea of this torture device. And so on camera, I have to, like, as the water's filling up, like I have to be in a place where like I cannot breathe, like I physically can't breathe, and then hold it for a minute to like, to get the footage of me not being able to breathe, right? And I was tied to a chair and my neck was tied back. I was so excited for this stunt and like so into it. And like Corbett was like walking me through everything. And I was like I was a river guide when I was in college and stuff, like a whitewater river guide. So like emergency stuff and like preparedness, something like I'm like, I wanted to know exactly what was happening because I knew as soon as that water like covered my mouth and my nose, my body would want to panic, right? And I didn't
Especially
want to
being
ruin the
tied
shot,
up.
especially being tied up. And I didn't want to ruin the shot because I didn't, you never have enough time to shoot it a million times and reset and all that. So we talked through it for a long time, and then I was like, okay, ready to go. And I was like, I'm so stoked. I was so excited. But as soon as that water passed my nose, like my body just like went into panic, and I had to like mentally be like you're in a rainy forest glen, and like all is well. Like I had to like talk myself out of it, while at the same time acting like I was horrified and like I felt like I was dying, while not actually like ending the stunt and ruining the shot, right? And we did it that one time, and they reviewed the footage, and I was like kind of able to see it like on the monitor, but I was still tied up. And so after we did it, and Spanky showed it to me, he's like, oh, we could have blah, blah, blah. And I was like, let's do it again, I want to do it again, like I can do better, I promise, I can hold my breath longer. And I'm just like begging him to let me do it again and again. Even after the second time we did it, I was like, can I do it one more time? I really think like maybe you want to get a different angle. And then and it was gnarly. It was also very cold February. We were in like it wasn't really heated, right? There wasn't a lot of heat going on in that warehouse.
No, it was freezing.
But man, and I was soaking wet, but I had such a good time. And like again, I don't get to do these roles a lot, and so I was just stoked to be part of it and get to be able to be
the
tortured.
actor's urge to just get tortured for real.
Be tortured. Like what is wrong with us?
It'll be better if you just
See,
actually torture me.
There's a reason why I'm behind the camera and not in front. I do not understand actors. Yeah, torture me. Yeah.
I seriously had such a good time.
There's something about this industry in general, though. Sometimes I just have to sit back and say there's something seriously wrong with us that we want to do this, because it's like, so I'm going to go out and work 12-hour days in the freezing cold overnight up in the mountains away from any sort of civilized anything, and you're going to pay me horribly to do this. Yeah, I'm totally in.
Do it again.
Yeah, but it's right. Like, can I come back next time too? But but I think that's the magic of the film industry, though, is the conditions we work in are sometimes awful. And not because anybody is providing awful conditions, but just because that's the nature of getting out onto location and making a movie. Like, it's not always comfortable. It's not always ideal. But the fact that we're able to share these stories and entertain people and hopefully make them think a little bit and share some messages with them, it gets us all excited. I do think there's a little bit of brain damage that we all have to have, and actors definitely have a little bit more than the rest of us.
Absolutely.
But it's there, and we always talk about trauma bonding and things, but your film crew becomes your family because we are in these crazy conditions doing what we love, even though it makes no sense that we love it.
Very true.
So that's my long-winded way of saying you're
There's
nuts,
something wrong with all
it.
of us.
I love the comparison of my rough day on set was I was hungry and there was pizza in front of me. And he was like, I got water tortured. And I was like, yeah, we both got a rough out here, Jeff. I get it. I get it.
Waterboarded.
What can we say, Ryan? Some people know how to pick their roles and some don't. I'll let you guys decide who is who.
Well, and that's actually what first.
And apparently we lost Halem, it looks like.
Hopefully he'll come back. That was actually the first, before I met Jeff. He was talking about, I went to the premiere of the film he's talking about where he plays Jesus, the carpenter. And he was talking about how he never got to fight. And I have this Western Puerto Rico script that I want to make. I thought, I wonder if you threw a cowboy hat on that guy, because there's a lot of fighting in that. Anyway, that's why we first kind of met. I approached him and said, hey, I've got this thing. And then later on, when the other projects popped up, he kind of popped in my head and kind of went from there. So maybe the next one.
Hat, Jeff.
Nice.
That was so awesome. Spanky sends me 2 different scripts, and like I read them and I was like, oh, they're great. And then I think you sent me one for the Puerto Rico one first, and then you sent me Princess for a Day too. And like, I was like, oh, this is such a cute, fun movie. Like, that'd be so fun to do. And not cute, fun in a derogatory way, like in like a really meaningful, sweet thing. I remember, like, I don't know, a couple of days went by, and you were like, do you like the script? And I was like, oh yeah, I loved it. It was really fun. He's like, well, like, aren't you interested in like auditioning for it. And it's like, oh, like I didn't know that was like an option. Like,
Well, I
thought you
sent
just
the
wanted me to
script.
read your
Hey,
script.
I sent it to him, and then I don't hear anything back. I'm like, I guess he doesn't want to play.
good job, Spanky.
So to get him back, I played a little bit of a joke on him, and yeah. Well, actually, at one point, I had actually cast somebody, and when I say I didn't want the guy, I let some other influences come in, but I'm like, wait a minute, no, I don't want. So I came up with an excuse anyway, got rid of the other guy, but I still hadn't heard back from him, and so I kind of, took the poker out of the fire and prodded him a bit and got him to read. And then, when it came time to kind of inform him, I told him like, well, there's this other guy that I've actually cast. I'm not sure if it'll work, but anyway, so I, of course, once I got rid of the other guy and knew that Jeff was the guy, I got Sadie Day, who is one of the producers, and we got on a little conference call to call Jeff and like kind of mess with him and say, hey, Jeff, dude, sorry, man. Because, I had all this stuff going on, and sorry to tell you, man, but you're going to have to drive to Utah to be in this film, and, to play and he's like, wait, what? Where are you offering? So anyway,
You pulled the American Idol reveal.
100%.
Yes.
Shout out to Sadie. I love Sadie too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was been great. And I again, very different movies, but this was such a fun one. And then, I jump in, I was on set, I think, was it 1 day or 2 days? I can't even remember now.
I think it was 2 days, because you came, we timed it right so you could be here to film and then head like directly to the premiere of Princess for a Day at the festival. Then,
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, so we shot like 2 days and yeah.
But I jumped in and like this film was already, it was a moving train, and I jump in to like get beat up for a minute.
Jeff had the best attitude coming in, though. He was coming in, smiling, and I was like, I love this guy. Why can't he stay? Oh.
Yeah, I was like a blip in all the hard work, but it was a fun project to jump into. Amazing cast and crew. And it was just awesome to get to almost like, jump in for a second and then get pulled out. But it was really, really fun. Great project.
Yeah, especially and without saying too much, yeah, it's not an easy character to do as well.
Jump in and out of.
Yeah, it's not one that you would normally want to hop in and out of. Yeah, but my gosh, like I said before, keep repeating myself, but it's true. I'm just amazed by your guys' talents. And again, it keeps reinforcing the notion to me that I don't belong on that side of the camera. I like to put myself in little spots, and I was actually going to play a doctor in this again, but like I did I have a movie called The Santa Box, and I played a doctor. That was the first time I ever did a line, and I was going to do that here, but I ended up giving it away to somebody else. But maybe the next one I'll try again. But it's not. I had, so like in Princess, I put myself in that. I had, I think, like 2 lines, and I kept messing it up, and I'm thinking to myself, 2
lines is harder than a monologue.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
I don't know, but I'm sitting there thinking like, my gosh,
way too much to overthink now.
I'm like torturing these actors. I know what I have a hint of what they go through, and I don't know how they do it, especially with my stuff. But yeah, I had a lot more respect for you guys after trying to do that. Just, you guys are a whole different breed actors.
It's all our
Sure,
that
and-
deep-seated trauma and
Yeah.
and brain damage that Robert talked about.
Okay.
I still remember my first shot that I did for this movie was getting, it's cold. I put a layer, like long johns under my jeans that I was wearing, like
Good
costume,
call.
and like something under the top. And then the first shot was a bucket of water. And I was like, wait,
you're like, oh, now this
then,
is all
like,
soaked.
won't I be wet? And everyone's like, yep.
Yeah, you're gonna be wet.
And it was not a little bit of water. It was like, it looked like a
You
little bit
were
of water in the
drenched.
bucket, but I was like soaked. Tidal
And
wave
again,
of
yeah,
water.
we had built the set in this, on the stage, and there were we had heaters outside, but my gosh, we shot a couple of days in Magna out in the mud and snow. And
Yep, I remember that.
I was freezing, and I swear it was just as cold in that stage as it was
I'm sure it
probably
was
not as
for
quiet, but it was
Jeff.
pretty dang, yeah, especially Trooper,
Yeah.
man.
The cotton thermals getting soaked on the first take sucks.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
That's hilarious.
So what other?
I was
sorry.
the boom op for a movie that I was sound mixing for Josh Hone. If any of you guys know Josh, he's great. First time I'd met the guy. And we're probably on we're on the second week of this production. We get into this little cabin, and this thing is tiny. There's just not room for a whole lot of people in there. So I'm in there, the director, the 2 actors, and the camera guy, and that's about it. And so Josh is outside mixing, and this whole scene is these 2 girls that end up fighting and stabbing one another. So we've got buckets of fake blood and blood rigs and all of this ready to go. And of course we shoot a whole bunch of stuff before we actually do the blood rigs. Well, we get to the point where they're going to do the blood rig and nobody bothers to tell Josh. And I'm not even thinking about it. And so all of a sudden we do this scene, and I think he had a monitor, and all of a sudden just blood's everywhere. And he's like, crap, my mics are still on these girls, and they just get soaked in fake blood. The mic packs, we had them in thigh straps, I believe. The thigh straps, they all go from being whatever color they were to being bright, bloody red. And he gets them out and just kind of looks at them, and he's like, well, I guess I'm cleaning these tonight.
Dude.
Luckily, fake blood,
were they
for those
toast?
that
Did they
don't know,
work?
are mostly corn syrup or whatever. No, that stuff is all fine. He uses the same transmitters that I do, and those things are pretty well sealed. You can't drop them in water, but fake blood is mostly corn syrup, so it washes off fairly easily, and it doesn't get into electronics too badly. It's just sticky, and I think he spent an hour on each pack with a little toothbrush trying to scrub it out of the little nooks and crannies and get it all clean. And it's the middle of the week too, so he also has to wash the thigh straps to get them all out of that when you weren't planning on doing laundry during your 4 hours off or whatever we had on our turnaround. Well, these were night shoots, so that makes it even rougher.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of funny because nobody said anything, and I wasn't paying enough attention to let him know.
It's nobody's
kind of
fault,
the same thing.
really.
Okay, well, I guess those packs are done for the day.
Yeah. Well, those
not quite as bad as getting dunked in freezing cold water.
Yeah.
But still.
Well,
so I got
I'm less expensive to wash off.
So again, I got to miss. I missed out on all the behind the scenes stuff. So do you guys have any other fun stories that I missed out on while I was doing other stuff?
There was that one, and I believe it's in the trailer, so I can talk about where I'm under the bed, I'm hiding, and someone grabs me by the hair and yanks me out from under the bed. And they were like, all right, how do we do this without grabbing Ryan by the hair and yanking him out from under the bed? And so we had a couple of different ideas, and the simplest solution.
And you said you didn't get to be tortured on set.
And I was like, whoa, that sounds like it could hurt. I'm no Jeff out here. And so the simplest solution was literally we took an apple box under this bed, put it against the wall. So you only see me from this, I would imagine. And the rest of me is actually crunched up on the apple box. So he just puts his hand on my head and I just push off like I'm swimming or something. And the shot ended up looking really cool.
Looked really good.
That's awesome.
You sold it well. We got Halen back.
Hey, welcome back, Halo.
Excellent. Halum's back. Woo!
Hello.
All right, so let's get into it, Halem. We have sat here and made fun of you, but let's talk. Well, how was your experience on set? What was your favorite day on set?
Man,
Without giving spoilers away.
gosh, there was a lot of fun days on set. Getting to work with Ryan, getting to work with Jeff as well, and then when I got a chance to work with Jeff as well, I mean, I feel like we became best friends instantly, right in our first scene and everything, and so.
There's a lot of
I know
trust
beat up
involved.
at a time, but it was good.
I know it was kind of different in character. I know we weren't best of friends in characters, but when it came to off camera, man, we were just hitting it off. And then it was great to work with everybody, Spanky as well. And I did a commercial with Spanky a few years back, and that's where we kind of met for the first time. And then and that's when I was just starting to get kind of slowly into my career. And then thankfully I was able to still hang in and stick with the career, and then met him along the way, and he gave me another chance to be in a feature.
Well, yeah, let me tell you a story. So that's what happened. So we had a production office, and there was another film that was actually filming right before we were going to move into the production office. Just as they're going to finish, we were going to come in. And Halem was in that film. It's called Ravisu, right? Horror film. And Halem had a part in that. And I saw him, I'm like, oh, wait, I directed him in that commercial. And the second I saw his headshot on the wall, I'm like, that's my Grover. That's my freaking Grover. And so, I mean, I knew right away. I couldn't tell him that because then it goes to actors' heads. And they're like, oh, you know. But
you
so
don't want to
like,
be too nice to actors. It backfires. It really
it does.
You gotta cut them
It
down.
does. It really does. Trust me. I got stories.
You liked what I did? Let me do it 20 times that.
Do it, Spanky. I'll do it. I got you, Spank.
But no, it was cool because I saw him and then I gave him his info to Jeff Johnson's people, and then he did the audition, and I was like, crap. No, he did good. He did good, but he didn't do great. And I'm like, and so I was really actually looking around, but I kept coming back. I'm like, he has such charisma. I mean, he is the most likable guy you'll ever meet. He looks like this giant beast of a guy, but he's just the most sweet, nice, likable guy. And my brain just kept going back. So I had him come in again. And I can't remember if I did. I don't know if I gave you any notes or anything. I don't remember. But the second audition, he just knocked it out of the park. I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is right there. Okay, he must have had just an off day because he just killed it. And I'm like, yes, finally, Grover is alive. So anyway, sorry.
No, totally fine. And thank you for giving me another chance, because the first time I was like, gosh dang it, man, I was messing up a lot. And I was like, damn, I'm not going to get this role now. So, geez. So thank you for giving me another chance, Bank, because, man. So, yeah.
I knew you had inside of you. So just,
Yeah. So, and I'm just grateful to be a part of another project.
Well, I mean, let's talk about our history for a second, Halem. If we're talking about auditions and projects and roles and you being a teddy bear of a guy, let's see. We met when you were working on the stunt crew and nearly killed Dwee for us.
By the way, Dwee is like 100 pounds, and I was like, I'm 300 pounds.
The next thing, it's ridiculous. I mean, and to be fair, if you look at Dwee, you'd only think he's 50. He's this short dude, but he has so much muscle, it's unbelievable. The dude is dense, but yeah, he weighs next to nothing. So I still remember that whole experience. It was just like, what in the world just happened? Nobody's here from the insurance company, right? So that's how I meet you. And speaking of stunt coordinators, didn't we have Corbett McAllister with us?
Yep, he was on that as well. He was on.
Yeah. So we had Corbett. That's where I also met Corbett. But then was the next thing that we did together, was that Crom?
We did Crom was the next one.
Or did we do... Yeah, I do think Crom was the next one, where then you're not on our stunt team. You're playing a high schooler, of all things, which I always tell people, if you want to see what The Rock would be like in high school, go watch Crom, because... Halem, that's it right there. And then after that, we did I See the Demon, where you play a horribly terrifying, brain-bending monster that crushes people's skulls with ugly feet.
That's right. Yep. Oof. Yep.
Wait, did you say ugly feet?
So, yeah, they made his feet all gnarled and nasty.
You crush skulls
and there's like
with
this close-up shot of him pushing his foot onto somebody's head.
Oh, okay. I pictured like 2 feet to like putting like foot to foot or something.
Okay. No.
Stepping on. Okay, that makes okay.
It would be really flexible. You're doing this.
So,
whoa.
I mean, it's Halem. He could do whatever. Monkey bar from the ceiling and crush skulls with his feet. So, I mean, if you want to talk about range, that's like stunts to monsters to high schoolers that are completely lovable. Like, I don't know that we've ever done 2 projects together where you've played similar roles. I feel like everything we do together, you're completely different.
He was in college this time,
which
at least.
So. Is great, by the way. You've done a great job every time.
Made it to.
At least
he might be getting older.
Graduated high school. Good job, Halem.
Woohoo! There's hope for you yet, Halem.
Thank you.
Obviously, I give you a lot of crap.
The next film you'll be in graduate
school. It's only because I love you so much.
No, you're good.
So,
graduate school.
Ryan had a Halem food story about the Hawaiian barbecue. I have my own Halem food story about this. So we were on set, and I don't remember how it came up, but I was like, "Do you know what sounds good? Poke." I remember how it came up, And him's like, I got you. And, we're on set and I had to go like straight to this premiere. And then, but like, he told me to go to a place that was it your cousin had started, but it was closed.
So
And
it's my good friend, yeah.
your buddy. And so him's like, no, just come to our house. We'll give it to you. He'll make it for you. And we'll give it to you at my house, which is like right by the Sierra Theater. So I got this like gorgeous poke meal.
What is that? What is poke?
I just remember you were passing that out on set too.
And Spanky was like, "Don't ever bring that to me again."
I've ever had.
Did I even get any? Because I don't know what this is.
No, I gave it to you, and you were like,
poke?
So poke.
You were like, I think I'm good. Halem. Thanks.
Was it like spicy or something? Because I'm not a spicy.
Raw fish.
Yeah,
raw fish.
No.
It's like my favorite meal, and I think what's
so
happened.
good.
Don't worry, Spanky. I'm not a poke fan either.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's my favorite.
So
not
good.
Anyway, that was
interested.
amazing.
And we got to go
Now I
watch.
remember.
We went to
That was
go
a
watch you
great
guys
day.
premiere right after that. After we had the poke, me and Jeff went to your guys premiere and to watch. What was that? What was that one? The
Princess for a Day.
Yeah.
Just for a
With
day. Yeah,
Monica
we went to go watch
Smith
it.
and Rosie Darling and
That's right.
and Charla and like all these amazing people. The funny thing about that, because we were kind of late because I was eating poke at your house.
Yeah.
So we show up a little late, get a huge call. I'm like, oh, Jeff finally came to the thing. But then like all the seats were taken up. So I ended up, I don't like to sit by anyone I know when I'm watching something for the first time. I just want to like hide in the back. But I sat next to Halem and his wife. And so I was just like, don't look at me. I'm embarrassed. But anyway, it was fun.
It was great. It was a great
I got
film,
one.
man. Did a great job. Absolutely.
Thanks, brother.
He did. He was great. They
That's
were all
awesome.
great.
Well, we should probably wrap this up. I always like to end with a nice leading question or non-important question, one of the two. I want you to go around and tell me the best film that you have seen in a festival recently that you were not a part of.
Real quick, Robert, I have to leave because I have to go pick up my daughter from kindergarten.
His little kids on the side of the road, like lunch pail.
That's all right. They'll just be like, my dad's in Genesis Project, so it's okay.
Yeah, there we go.
My dad, The Rock.
Little Rock.
But all right, well, we got the three of you guys, so why don't you
I haven't seen any films in a festival.
Why don't you guys tell
lately.
me? Okay, let's change the question. What's your favorite movie you have seen recently that you were not a part of? Festival or not? I was trying to keep it local, but we can go broad. You have to have watched something. A Super Bowl commercial, maybe.
Well, a buddy of mine was actually just in, and it wasn't a feature, but it was a pilot presentation at the, I'm trying to figure out what the festival is called, the Dances with Films Festival. They've got one in LA and one in New York. I think they were in the New York one, but I saw the premiere of it. And it's a comedy called Chet Bond License to Chill. And it's basically the Nepo baby son of James Bond. It's sort of a mockumentary style pilot. And it was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. Reminded me a lot of just like the old kind of comedies that I grew up with, like the Pink Panther, like Steve Martin's version, and Nacho Libre, and like all just like the comedies that you don't really see a lot today. So that's something that I really enjoyed.
Cool. Either of you guys have an answer yet?
I liked Mercy. I thought it was very current. It was not action. It was interesting also because to a degree it's almost like one location almost for the entire film. And I think it was a great concept. It was really current and had great action, and Chris Pratt is awesome in anything he does, I think. Yeah, but I really want to see Send Help though. That's my next film. I don't know if you guys saw that.
That's awesome.
Rachel
Okay.
McAdams is awesome.
It's good.
Sam Raimi.
I love Rachel McAdams.
I think
How about
I think
you,
the
Hale?
one, I think the one film I just saw recently come out, and it's kind of it kind of caught my attention, and then it was kind of a different kind of movie. Probably not really for me, but I just love the way how the actor, what was her name, the one that played Perseus in Troy. She was the girl in Troy, Perseus. She was the one she did with Brad Pitt. She's played in a lot of films.
I can't remember her
think she
name, but I
was
know
in
who you're talking about.
Watchmen, too.
Yeah, she played in like
National
Bridesmaids.
Treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, National Treasure.
Yes, and she did a great job. It's called If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You, is what the movie's called. And so I know it sounds kind of weird and it kind of caught my attention, but the way it kind of portrays the storyline about like just parents, and it kind of showed me a little bit of my life as being a parent as well, and like how she's just holding it all together with her family, and her daughter is actually has like a physical illness, and she's trying to just, but there's kind of a little bit of a catch of like in the movie. I'm like, oh, kind of crazy how this writer did this, and I'm like, wow. So if you get a chance to see it, you'll kind of see what he does in this story, where it's like how she does it, and she does such a great job portraying her character, and I'm like, wow, very different for her, but she did a phenomenal job. So, kind of a different film, but overall I thought it was great.
Cool. Interesting. I have to
Excellent.
look at that.
I almost hate to admit it, but I was so involved with the Utah Film Festival on the panel side and the preparation side that I only made it to see one short for the entire festival. But the film that I went to see was Daisy Girl, which was directed by our last podcast guest, Elijah Amit. It's small, low budget film, first time director, first time writer, but it was fun to see a couple of people apply their experience in making films to new roles, and I thought they did a pretty good job with all of that. Again, low budget, obviously, like, are there better films out there? For sure. But at the same time, it was a very sweet story that was told by some newer filmmakers in a very relatable way. So that's kind of the big film that I've seen recently from the independent circuit. Of course, I'm way behind on mainstream films. I did finally see Superman and loved it, but I'm a big Superman fan, so that's not a big surprise. But at any rate, thank you guys for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah.
Very interesting to do a larger group and see the group dynamics and how you guys interact. It makes me very excited to see Genesis Project. Tell us one more time, Spanky, when and where we can see this.
It is having its festival premiere at ZIF, which is the Zion's Indie Film Fest, and that will be taking place February 23rd through the 28th. But the Genesis Project will be screening on Thursday, February 26th, 8:30 p.m. at the Sarah Center in Orem, Utah. It's playing in the Clark Grand Theater, and you can get tickets right now. You can go to my Facebook page, just Spanky Ward, just look up Spanky Ward on Facebook, and I've got tons of links there. Or you can just go to the Sarah Center website or the Zion's Indie Film Fest website, just type them in, they'll pop up. But yeah, it'll be great. It's going to be fun. And stick around for the Q&A after. We're going to have these guys back up on the stage to answer questions from the audience after the film. So we'll have a great, fun session right afterwards.
Excellent. One more time, that's February 26th. It's a Thursday at 8:30 p.m. at the Sarah Theater in Orem. Really excited to see it. I hope to see a bunch of you all there. Thanks again for being on the show. This has been great, guys.
Thanks
so much, Robert.
It's fun.
Thanks. Great to meet you, Robert.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Spotlight. If you liked what you heard, please go to goldenworksentertainment.com/podcast and sign up for our newsletter, where we announce new episodes and keep you up to date on current projects with Goldenworks Entertainment. Again, that website is goldenworksentertainment.com/podcast. Here you can also find links to all of the wonderful movies that we talked about in this episode.